Why is it that, in just the past few years, South Korea has gone from a relatively niche destination in the eyes of global travelers to one of the most sought-after places on Earth for tourists, students, and even remote workers? The answer lies in a rare and captivating combination: a nation that is at once a pioneer of the future and a guardian of the past. A country where skyscrapers pierce the clouds beside centuries-old palaces, where ultra-fast internet connects you instantly with the world, while age-old traditions connect you deeply with its people. Think of this. In the morning, you could be sipping a caramel latte in a cafe powered by AI-based robots in downtown Seoul. By noon, you're wandering the stone courtyards of a royal palace built over 600 years ago. And by evening, you're on a quiet cliffside overlooking the turquoise waves of Jeju Island. That's South Korea, a place where the contrasts aren't just striking, they're seamless. But what has sparked this recent wave of interest? The Korean skincare boom has been nothing short of a global phenomenon. Products with innovative formulas and centuries-old herbal traditions have stormed beauty aisles in London, New York, and beyond, making K-beauty a household term. Skincare stores in Seoul's Myeongdong district are now as much a tourist attraction as they are a shopping spot. Then there's the power of pop culture. South Korea's entertainment industry has achieved something unprecedented. Squid Game became a worldwide obsession, breaking streaming records and sparking conversations about Korean society and storytelling. BTS filled stadiums on multiple continents, turning Korean lyrics into global anthems. Blackpink, Parasite, Crash Landing on You, and countless other exports have captured the world's imagination, often becoming the very reason people decide to visit. And of course, Korean cuisine has found its way into the hearts and kitchens of millions. The smoky thrill of Korean barbecue, the comforting spice of kimchi stew, the irresistible chew of tteokbokki, these flavors are no longer confined to Korea's borders. In cities across the USA and UK, Korean restaurants are thriving, and foodies are flocking to experience these dishes at their source. For travelers, this combination is irresistible. For adventure seekers, mountain trails, hidden villages, and island escapes. For culture lovers, palaces, traditions, and UNESCO heritage sites. For digital nomads, some of the fastest internet speeds in the world, and a thriving cafe culture. For students, world-class universities, cultural immersion, and a society that values education. What makes South Korea truly unique is that it offers the buzz and convenience of a global metropolis while still feeling profoundly rooted in its identity. It's not a place that imitates trends, it creates them. And over the next 60 minutes, we'll take you deep into the heart of this extraordinary country, exploring its landscapes, culture, history, lifestyle, and the small details that make life here unlike anywhere else. But before we begin, remember, this is like a free ticket to one of the world's most fascinating destinations. All you need to do to keep the journey going is hit like, subscribe, and leave us a quick comment. Tell us, if you were in South Korea right now, what's the first thing you'd want to see or do? Because by the end of this documentary, you just might find yourself planning the trip of a lifetime. To truly understand South Korea, you first need to picture where it is on the map, not just geographically, but strategically. This is a country that sits on the southern half of the Korean peninsula, stretching roughly 1,100 kilometers from its northernmost point to the southern coast, yet compact enough to cross from one end to the other in a day. To the north, it shares one of the most heavily fortified borders in the world with North Korea, a line that has defined the geopolitics of the peninsula since the mid-20th century. To the west, the Yellow Sea separates it from China, while to the East Sea, internationally known as the Sea of Japan, connects it to the broader Pacific. Its southern coastline opens into the East China Sea, dotted with islands, fishing villages, and bustling ports. This prime location has always been a double-edged sword. On one hand, it has placed Korea at the crossroads of trade, culture, and ideas, a bridge between China, Japan, and the rest of Asia. On the other, it has made the peninsula a strategic prize in conflicts for centuries. Today, South Korea has turned its location into an advantage, serving as a key trade hub in Northeast Asia, with shipping lanes that carry everything from high-tech electronics to steel, automobiles, and cultural exports. Its proximity to major markets is remarkable. Seoul is just a 2-hour flight from Beijing, a 2.5-hour flight from Tokyo, and under 4 hours to Shanghai. This closeness allows for rapid business exchanges and cultural connectivity that few nations enjoy. The country's ports, particularly Busan, the 5th busiest container port in the world, are critical to global shipping routes. And its airports, like Incheon International, serve as major transit points for travelers heading between Asia, Europe, and North America. But South Korea is more than just its trade routes. The country's landscape is a study in contrasts. About 70% of its territory is mountainous, with ranges like Taebaksan and Sobeksan, shaping both climate and lifestyle. These mountains are not just scenic, they influence weather patterns, provide fresh water sources, and offer natural defenses that have historically protected the region. Between these ranges lie fertile valleys, where agriculture has thrived for centuries. The coastlines tell another story. Long and irregular, they form countless bays and natural harbors, making fishing an integral part of the national economy and diet. Offshore, the surrounding seas are rich in marine life, from mackerel to abalone, fueling vibrant seafood markets across the country. South Korea also benefits from distinct climate zones. The winters can be cold and snowy in the north, perfect for skiing, while the south enjoys milder conditions year-round. 4 distinct seasons give the country a rhythm that locals embrace. Spring bursts with cherry blossoms and wildflowers. Summer brings lush greenery, monsoon rains, and coastal escapes. Autumn paints the hills in fiery reds and oranges. Winter transforms mountains into snowy playgrounds. These changing seasons are not just beautiful, they shape cultural traditions, diets, and travel patterns. Spring and autumn are considered the best times to visit, with clear skies and pleasant temperatures, while summer and winter bring their own sets of festivals and outdoor activities. When it comes to natural resources, South Korea's mountainous terrain holds deposits of coal, tungsten, graphite, and molybdenum. Though these play a smaller role in the economy today compared to its industrial exports, agriculture remains vital in certain regions. Rice paddies dominate the lowlands, while apples, pears, and ginseng thrive in cooler, elevated areas. Jeju Island, with its volcanic soil, produces unique citrus fruits found nowhere else in the world. From a strategic perspective, South Korea is like a small but powerful gear in the machinery of global trade and diplomacy. Its location gives it influence far greater than its size would suggest. And geographically, it's a land where nature and industry share the stage. Rugged mountains and fertile plains, bustling ports and serene islands, all within a few hours' reach. It's this combination prime location, diverse landscapes, and seasonal beauty that makes South Korea not just a stop on the map, but a place where geography actively shapes history, economy, and culture. To walk through South Korea today with its shimmering skyscrapers, high-speed trains, and cutting-edge industries is to witness a country standing firmly in the future. But its roots run deep, reaching back thousands of years into a story of kingdoms, struggles, triumphs, and rebirths. The Three Kingdoms era. The story begins with 3 rival kingdoms that shared the Korean peninsula: Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla. Each kingdom carved out its own identity. Goguryeo, in the north, was a military powerhouse. Its fortresses were legendary, and its warriors were feared across Northeast Asia. At its height, it controlled much of Manchuria and northern Korea. Baekje, in the southwest, was a center of art and diplomacy. It maintained close ties with Japan and China, exchanging goods, culture, and Buddhism. Silla, in the southeast, was the smallest but most enduring. With strategic alliances, it eventually unified the peninsula in 668 CE, ushering in a golden age of culture and architecture. This era saw the introduction of Buddhism, the creation of intricate pottery, stone pagodas, and the first inklings of a unified Korean identity, the Goryeo dynasty. After centuries of division and shifting alliances, the Goryeo dynasty rose to power. This is the dynasty that gave Korea its very name, Goryeo, becoming Korea in the West. Goryeo was famous for its artistry. Celadon pottery from this period is still considered some of the finest in the world, prized for its delicate glaze and intricate designs. The dynasty also made a remarkable contribution to human history. The world's first metal movable type printing, developed in the 13th century, more than 200 years before Gutenberg's printing press in Europe. But Goryeo was not without challenges. Invasions by the Mongols tested the kingdom's resilience, and internal struggles eventually led to its decline. The Joseon dynasty. The Joseon dynasty is often considered the most defining period in Korean history. Lasting over 500 years, it shaped much of what we recognize as Korean culture today. Founded by Yi Seong-gye, Joseon embraced Confucianism as the foundation of governance and society. This philosophy emphasized respect for hierarchy, education, and moral integrity values that still influence modern Korean life. Joseon was also a time of great innovation. In 1443, King Sejong the Great created Hangul, the Korean alphabet, with the revolutionary idea that literacy should be accessible to all, not just the elite who could read complex Chinese characters. Hangul remains one of the most logical and easy-to-learn writing systems in the world. The dynasty built magnificent palaces, including Gyeongbokgung, and advanced agriculture, science, and astronomy. But it was also a time of rigid social classes and isolationist policies, earning Korea the nickname the Hermit Kingdom in the West. Japanese occupation. The dawn of the 20th century brought a darker chapter. In 1910, Korea was annexed by Japan, marking 35 years of occupation. During this period, Korean culture, language, and traditions were heavily suppressed. Schools taught Japanese, historical records were altered, and economic resources were exploited for Japan's benefit. Yet, resistance persisted. Underground movements, cultural preservation efforts, and the 1919 March First Independence Movement became symbols of national pride. Despite brutal crackdowns, Koreans continued to fight for their sovereignty through both armed resistance and diplomatic advocacy. Liberation and the Korean War. Japan's defeat in World War II in 1945 brought liberation, but also division. The peninsula was split along the 38th parallel, with the Soviet Union occupying the north and the United States the south. What began as a temporary arrangement hardened into two separate governments, each claiming legitimacy. In 1950, the Korean War erupted when North Korean forces invaded the South. The conflict drew in global powers, including the US, China, and UN allies, and left the peninsula devastated. By the time the armistice was signed in 1953, millions had lost their lives, and the two Koreas remained divided, a separation that endures to this day. The miracle on the Han River. In the aftermath of war, South Korea was one of the poorest countries in the world, its cities in ruins and its economy shattered. But what followed is one of the most remarkable economic transformations in modern history, a phenomenon known as the miracle on the Han River. Through visionary leadership, investment in education, export-driven industry, and an unyielding work ethic, South Korea industrialized at lightning speed. By the 1980s, it was producing cars, electronics, and ships for global markets. By the 2000s, it had become a leader in technology, entertainment, and innovation. Today, South Korea stands as a vibrant democracy, a cultural powerhouse, and the world's 10th largest economy. Its journey from ancient kingdoms to modern innovation is a testament to resilience, adaptability, and the power of national identity. South Korea's history isn't just a backdrop, it's the living framework that shapes its people, culture, and vision for the future. In its streets, you can feel echoes of the Three Kingdoms, see the artistry of Goryeo, walk through Joseon palaces, and sense the determination forged in the struggles of the last century. If you ask Koreans what makes their country truly unique, many will point not to a landmark or a dish, but to a feeling, a word that doesn't translate neatly into English. Jeong. Jeong is the invisible thread that binds people together here. It's more than affection, more than community spirit. It's a deep, almost unspoken bond that grows through shared experiences. It can be the warmth between neighbors who've lived side by side for decades, the quiet loyalty between old friends, or even the gentle care shown to a stranger. In the West, relationships are often defined by choice and circumstance. In Korea, jeong is something that develops almost inevitably when lives intertwine, and once it's there, it lasts a lifetime. You see this spirit in the way co-workers buy snacks for the whole office without being asked, in neighbors who leave a bag of fresh fruit at your door simply because they had extra, or in the shop owner who slips a little something extra into your bag just because. It's not charity and it's not obligation. It's jeong, hanbok, wearing history. When it comes to expressing cultural identity visually, nothing captures Korea's elegance quite like the hanbok. This traditional clothing, with its flowing lines, vibrant colors, and symbolic patterns, dates back centuries to the Joseon dynasty. For everyday wear, it has been replaced by modern clothing, but on special occasions, it still takes center stage. Hanbok is worn during weddings, major holidays like Seoul, Lunar New Year, and Chuseok, Harvest Festival, and even at cultural festivals where young people proudly showcase their heritage. The design is intentional. The long, billowing skirt, chima, and short jacket, jogori, for women, and the roomy pants, baji, for men, allow freedom of movement, a reminder that comfort and beauty can coexist. Colors and patterns often carry meaning: bright colors for festive occasions, muted tones for somber ones, and motifs that symbolize longevity, prosperity, or happiness. While the West has largely relegated traditional dress to museums, in Korea, the hanbok is alive. It's not just a costume, it's a living link to the past. In recent years, modernized hanbok styles have become trendy, blending traditional silhouettes with contemporary fabrics, so you might spot stylish couples in hanbok on Instagram just as easily as in a history book. Hanok, living with nature. The hanok, Korea's traditional house, is another timeless treasure. Built from natural materials like wood, stone, and clay, hanoks are designed with a philosophy called baesanimsu, mountains behind, water in front, to harmonize with the surrounding landscape. Inside, the layout is carefully planned according to Confucian principles, with separate spaces for men and women, guests and family, public and private life. But the most remarkable feature is the ondol, Korea's ingenious underfloor heating system, which dates back thousands of years. Originally, heat from a kitchen fire would pass through flues beneath the floor, warming the home evenly from the ground up. Modern versions use hot water pipes, but the result is the same. On a freezing winter day, you can sit on the warm floor and feel comfort seep into your bones. In places like Bukchon Hanok Village in Seoul or Jeju Hanok Village, you can still step inside these traditional homes. Many have been converted into guest houses, tea houses, or museums, offering a taste of Korea's architectural soul, social etiquette, and collectivist values. In South Korea, manners are not optional, they are the scaffolding of society. Respect for elders is paramount. Age not only determines how you address someone, but often guides the flow of a conversation. Korean language itself has multiple speech levels. You speak differently to your boss than to your younger sibling, not just in vocabulary, but in verb endings and tone. Physical gestures carry weight too. When giving or receiving anything, a gift, a business card, even a cup of coffee, it's customary to use both hands as a sign of respect. Bowing is standard in greetings, with the depth of the bow reflecting the formality of the situation. These customs come from Korea's collectivist culture, where the needs of the group often outweigh individual desires. In the USA or UK, independence and personal expression are celebrated as virtues. In Korea, harmony, humility, and consideration for others take center stage. Public spaces are treated with care, Littering is frowned upon, loud public phone calls are avoided, and commuters often give up their seats to the elderly or pregnant without hesitation. Balancing modern work culture and traditional family values. One of the most fascinating aspects of Korean society is how it balances the hyper-modern work culture with deep-rooted family traditions. The work ethic in South Korea is intense. Long hours are common, and dedication to the company often extends beyond the office, with after-work dinners, hoesik, where relationships are strengthened over shared meals and drinks. The hierarchy in workplaces mirrors that of society. Juniors show deference to seniors, while seniors are expected to mentor and support juniors. Yet, despite these modern demands, traditional family values remain strong. Major holidays see a mass migration from cities to ancestral hometowns, where families gather to honor their elders, perform ancestral rites, and share home-cooked feasts. Parents invest heavily in their children's education, sometimes sacrificing personal comfort to ensure their future success, a living embodiment of the Confucian ideal of filial duty. Even in the fast-paced neighborhoods of Seoul, you'll find multi-generational households, grandparents caring for grandchildren while parents work, and young adults returning home for family dinners several times a week. A culture of continuity and change. South Korea's culture is not frozen in time. It's evolving, blending centuries-old traditions with global influences, redefining its identity while holding on to its roots. You might see a teenager in a hanbok taking selfies with friends before heading to a K-pop concert, or a tech entrepreneur taking a weekend trip to a quiet temple stay for meditation. It's this interplay, the way ancient customs coexist with futuristic ambition, that makes South Korea's lifestyle so captivating. It is a country where tradition isn't left behind. It walks hand in hand with the future. Religion in South Korea is not a single thread. It's a tapestry woven from centuries of influences, philosophies, and rituals, each leaving its mark on the nation's moral fabric, festivals, and daily life. Walk through a bustling Seoul neighborhood, and you might see a Buddhist temple with ornate rooftops standing just blocks away from a modern glass church. You might pass a quiet Confucian shrine tucked between office buildings, or glimpse a colorful shaman's altar hidden in the mountains. In Korea, faith and philosophy coexist, sometimes in harmony, sometimes in quiet tension, but always shaping the country's identity. Buddhism, harmony in the mountains. Buddhism arrived on the peninsula in the 4th century, traveling from China and India, and it quickly became one of Korea's most influential spiritual traditions. It's a faith that emphasizes compassion, meditation, and living in balance with the natural world, ideas that found a perfect home in Korea's mountainous landscapes. Temples like Bulguksa in Gyeongju and Haeinsa in Hapcheon are not just places of worship. They are national treasures, filled with centuries-old statues, paintings, and relics. Haeinsa houses the Tripitaka Koreana, a collection of over 80,000 wooden printing blocks of Buddhist scriptures, carved in the 13th century with remarkable precision. Today, while only about 15% of South Koreans identify as Buddhist, its influence runs deep. Many people visit temples for important life events, to seek blessings before exams or marriages, or simply to find peace away from the noise of the city. The Temple Stay program, where visitors live alongside monks for a few days, has become popular with both locals and foreigners, offering a taste of monastic life and meditation. Christianity, a modern force with deep roots. Christianity is a relatively recent arrival compared to Buddhism, but it has grown rapidly since the late 19th century. Today, roughly 30% of South Koreans identify as Christian, a remarkable figure considering the faith's short history here. Large Protestant and Catholic communities flourish, especially in urban areas. Seoul's skyline is dotted with the glowing red crosses of churches, while megachurches like Yeouido Full Gospel Church, one of the largest in the world, draw tens of thousands of worshipers every week. Christianity in South Korea is notable for its energy and community spirit. Church services are often lively, with music, fellowship, and outreach programs. Many churches also play a significant role in education, charity work, and social activism. Christian holidays, especially Christmas, are widely celebrated not just as religious observances, but as cultural events filled with lights, decorations, and festivities. Confucianism, the unwritten code. Though technically not a religion, Confucianism has arguably shaped Korean society more than any other belief system. Introduced from China during the Three Kingdoms period and fully embraced in the Joseon dynasty, Confucianism is a philosophy that emphasizes respect for hierarchy, filial piety, moral conduct, and the importance of education. Its influence is everywhere in the way people greet each other, in the language's honorific system, in workplace dynamics, and in family relationships. Confucian ideals underpin major life events, from ancestral memorial rites, jisa, to traditional wedding ceremonies. Even modern political and business structures reflect Confucian concepts of order and duty. Shamanistic traditions, the oldest spiritual roots. Beneath the layers of Buddhism, Christianity, and Confucianism lies Korea's oldest spiritual tradition, shamanism. Long before organized religion, Koreans sought guidance from shamans, or mudang, who acted as intermediaries between the human and spirit worlds. Shamanistic rituals, called gut, are vibrant, colorful ceremonies involving dance, drumming, singing, and offerings to appease spirits, ensure good fortune, or heal illness. These practices blend animistic beliefs, the idea that natural objects and places hold spiritual power, with ancestor worship and local folklore. Even today, shamanism survives quietly but persistently. Families might consult a shaman before a wedding, opening a business, or moving into a new home. Many of these traditions have merged with modern life in ways that outsiders might not immediately recognize. Fortune-telling cafes, talismans sold in markets, and rituals incorporated into festivals all have roots in shamanism. Hangul, the language of the nation. If religion and philosophy are the pillars of Korean identity, then language is its voice, and that voice is expressed through Hangul, one of the most unique writing systems in the world. Before the 15th century, written Korean relied on classical Chinese characters, Hanja, a system accessible only to the educated elite. In 1443, King Sejong the Great changed history. Determined to make literacy possible for all, he commissioned the creation of a new alphabet Hangul, simple to learn, logical in design, and perfectly suited to the Korean language's sounds. Hangul consists of just 14 consonants and 10 vowels, yet these can be combined into thousands of syllables. Its structure is so intuitive that UNESCO has praised it as a model writing system, and South Korea celebrates Hangul Day every October 9th. In recent years, Hangul has gained a new wave of global learners, thanks to the Hallyu, the Korean wave. Fans of K-pop, K-dramas, and Korean cinema are taking online classes, downloading apps, and even enrolling in university programs just to understand their favorite lyrics and scripts in the original language. Faith, philosophy, and language, a unique blend. What makes South Korea's spiritual and cultural landscape so fascinating is not just the presence of these different traditions, but how they interact. It's entirely possible for someone to attend a Buddhist temple for meditation, follow Confucian principles in their family life, visit a church on Sunday, and still consult a shaman for a special blessing, all without seeing any contradiction. And underlying it all is the Korean language, a bridge between past and present, tradition and innovation, local identity and global influence. South Korea live, and dream here. For every palace, skyscraper, and famous beach South Korea proudly showcases to the world, there are dozens of quieter, lesser-known places and curious facts that even some locals haven't explored. These are the corners of the country where history whispers. The sea is undisturbed by crowds, and cultural quirks reveal themselves only to those who take the time to look closer. Andong Hahoy Village, Korea's living folk museum, tucked away along the banks of the Nakdong River in North Gyeongsang Province, lies Andong Hahoy Village, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that feels like stepping back several centuries. The village's name, Haeho, literally means river turning around. And indeed, the river embraces the settlement in a graceful curve. The layout hasn't changed much since the Joseon dynasty. Narrow dirt paths wind between thatched roof houses and aristocratic manor homes, many of which are still lived in by descendants of the original clans. Haho is famous for its traditional mask dances, a form of folk theater blending humor, satire, and social commentary. Performers in wooden masks act out tales that once poked fun at corrupt officials or rigid social norms, a tradition kept alive for tourists and locals alike. Here, time moves differently. Farmers tend small plots, elders rest in the shade of ginkgo trees, and the river reflects the gentle rhythm of life, a reminder that Korea's soul is not only in its cities, but in its villages. Rural heritage towns, where tradition breathes. Beyond Andong, countless rural towns preserve Korea's agricultural and cultural heritage. In Jeolla and Gangwon provinces, you'll find clusters of Hanok houses surrounded by rice paddies, tea fields, and rolling hills. Some of these villages specialize in crafts passed down for generations: pottery, papermaking, or hand-woven textiles. Visiting them is not like visiting a museum. It's more like stepping into someone's home. Locals invite you to try the craft yourself, share tea, and often insist you leave with a small gift. In a country known for its urban speed, these towns are living proof that slow, intentional living still thrives. Remote islands Ulleungdo and Gyeongje, far out in the East Sea, about 120 kilometers from the mainland, lies Ulleungdo, a volcanic island of jagged cliffs, emerald forests, and crystal clear waters. Because it's harder to reach, it sees far fewer tourists than Jeju, making it ideal for travelers seeking solitude. Ulleungdo is famous for its pristine environment. There are no large beaches here, but rather dramatic rock formations, hidden coves, and trails that wind through cedar and cypress forests. Local specialties include pumpkin taffy and freshly caught squid, often dried in the sea breeze right along the harbor. Gyeongje, the coastal beauty. In the south, Jeju Island offers a mix of rugged coastline, sandy beaches, and a maritime history that includes shipbuilding and a World War II prisoner of war camp. Today, it's a peaceful escape with viewpoints like Windy Hill, botanical gardens, and ferries to small offshore islands covered in camellia blooms. Unlike Jeju's volcanic drama, Jeju's charm lies in its softer landscapes, gentle bays, fishing villages, and hidden beaches, where you might be the only one on the sand. Underground shopping streets, one of South Korea's best-kept urban secrets, lies right underfoot. In Seoul, Busan, and Daegu, entire worlds stretch beneath the streets, underground shopping complexes that connect subway stations, office buildings, and malls. In winter, they're a warm escape from icy winds. In summer, they're cool and air-conditioned. Here, you can find everything from affordable fashion and cosmetics to quirky accessories, mobile phone gadgets, and endless food stalls serving quick, delicious meals. Some underground streets, like the one in Seoul's Gangnam Station, have their own microculture. Regular shoppers know which vendors offer the best deals, where the trendiest boutique is hiding, and which tiny coffee stand makes the best espresso for your commute. Ondol, the genius of heated floors. One of the most charming and surprising facts about Korean life is the ondol, the traditional underfloor heating system that has existed for over 2,000 years. In ancient times, ondol worked by channeling heat from a wood fire in the kitchen through flues under the floor, warming the thick stone slabs beneath the living spaces. Families would eat, sleep, and relax directly on the heated floor, creating a cozy environment in the bitter cold of winter. Today, modern ondol systems use hot water or electric heating, but the principle is the same. It's so ingrained in Korean life that even modern apartments and hotels often feature heated floors. Visitors from the USA or UK often describe it as one of the most unexpectedly luxurious aspects of staying in Korea, especially on a frosty morning. Quirks and surprises. Hidden gems aren't always physical places. Sometimes they're little cultural details that reveal themselves in daily life. 24-hour lifestyle. Many cafes, restaurants, and even spas stay open all night. PC bangs. Internet gaming lounges that double as social hubs. Cultural blending. A single neighborhood might have a 600-year-old Confucian shrine next to a futuristic VR arcade. These details rarely make it into travel brochures, but for those who notice them, they become some of the most vivid memories of the trip. Why these hidden places matter. Famous landmarks are important, they define a nation's image. But hidden gems tell you how people actually live. They're the places where you're more likely to share a conversation with a stranger, learn a new word, taste a dish you can't pronounce, or be surprised by the generosity of a shopkeeper. In South Korea, those moments aren't rare, they're simply wading off the beaten path. South Korea is a country that wears the seasons like a perfectly tailored wardrobe. 4 distinct outfits, each more breathtaking than the last. Its landscapes shift dramatically through the year, offering new colors, scents, and experiences every few months. Add to that a deep national love for nature, and you get a destination where the outdoors is not just a backdrop, it's a way of life. Spring, a nation in bloom. When winter's chill loosens its grip, South Korea bursts into life. In spring, cherry blossoms blanket the cities and countryside in delicate shades of pink and white. Streets, parks, palace grounds, and riverbanks transform into flower-lined dreamscapes. One of the most famous spots is Jinhae, home to the country's largest cherry blossom festival. For a few magical weeks, millions of petals drift through the air like soft snow, creating a scene so romantic it could be mistaken for a K-drama set. In Seoul, the walk along the Ulleungdo Park is equally spectacular, with the Han River reflecting rows of blooming trees. It's not just cherry blossoms, plum blossoms, azaleas, and forsythias fill gardens and mountainsides, while farmers plant the first rice shoots in emerald green paddies. The air smells fresher, lighter, like the whole country is waking up. Summer green peaks and coastal escapes. Summer in South Korea is lush and vibrant. The mountains are cloaked in deep green, waterfalls run full, and the coasts come alive with vacationers. It's also the season of the Jangma, the summer monsoon, which brings heavy rains that nourish the forests and fill reservoirs. It's a perfect time for seaside towns like Gyeongbokgung or Sokcho on the east coast, where golden beaches meet clear waters. Seafood markets here are legendary, offering fresh catches grilled or served raw within hours of leaving the sea. In the south, islands like Namhae and Wando shine in summer, their quiet coves and fishing villages offering a slower pace of life. Many Koreans head to the coasts for a break from city heat, indulging in beach festivals, water sports, and late-night barbecues under string lights. Autumn, nature's masterpiece. Ask many Koreans their favorite season, and they'll answer without hesitation. Autumn. The air turns crisp, skies are a deep, endless blue, and the hills and mountains ignite in fiery reds, oranges, and golds. The star of the season is Seoul National Park in the northeast. Here, jagged granite peaks rise above valleys carpeted in autumn leaves, and crystal-clear streams weave through forests. The park's hiking trails range from gentle walks to challenging climbs, rewarding every step with jaw-dropping views. In the cities, ginkgo trees turn bright yellow, lining streets with a golden glow. Temple grounds become even more tranquil as monks sweep leaves from ancient stone courtyards, and traditional tea houses serve steaming cups of green tea against a backdrop of red maple leaves. Winter, snowy peaks, and quiet beauty. Winter transforms South Korea into a serene white wonderland. Ski resorts like Yeongpyeong and Alpensia, host to the 2018 Winter Olympics, welcome skiers and snowboarders from across Asia. In the countryside, frozen rivers and snow-covered rice fields create postcard-perfect scenes. The mountains, though cold, are magical this time of year. Bukhansan National Park, right on Seoul's doorstep, offers winter hikes where frosted pine branches sparkle in the sun and the city below looks like it's wrapped in a silver blanket. And then there's the comfort of ondel-heated floors after a day outdoors, a uniquely Korean pleasure that turns a winter night into pure bliss. Hiking culture, a national passion, with nearly 70% of its land covered in mountains, South Korea has hiking woven into its DNA. From casual weekend walkers to seasoned climbers, the trails are alive year-round. Hiking isn't just about fitness. It's a social activity, often ending with shared snacks, rice wine, makgeolli, and lively conversation at the trailhead. Bukhansan National Park, right inside Seoul, is a prime example. In less than an hour, you can leave the bustle of the city behind and be surrounded by granite peaks, Buddhist temples, and forested valleys. The views from the top, the city skyline, framed by rugged cliffs, are unforgettable. Further afield, Gyeongbokgung National Park is a hiker's paradise. In autumn, it's a riot of color. In winter, the peaks resemble snow-sculpted art. The park is also home to rare wildlife, including the Asian black bear, and has cultural gems like Sinhungsa Temple nestled among its trails. Coastal beauty and seaside towns, South Korea's coastline stretches for thousands of kilometers, indented with bays, harbors, and islands. Each coastal region has its own character. On the East Coast, towns like Sokcho offer both beach life and easy access to mountain parks, making them perfect for travelers who want the best of both worlds. On the West Coast, tidal flats in regions like Boryong and Muan support fishing communities and host events like the famous Mud Festival. The southern coast, with its milder climate, is dotted with hundreds of small islands, many accessible only by ferry. Fishing villages here offer a window into a slower, more traditional lifestyle, where life still revolves around the tides. Nature as a cultural identity. What makes South Korea's natural beauty truly special is not just its variety, but its integration into daily life. Festivals mark the arrival of cherry blossoms, autumn leaves, and even the first snow. City parks are meticulously maintained havens where locals walk, picnic, and exercise daily. And no matter how urban a neighborhood is, you're never far from a hiking trail, a riverbank, or a patch of forest. Here, nature isn't something people escape to. It's something they live with, season by season. If South Korea's landmarks and festivals are the postcard image, daily life is the heartbeat, the quiet rhythm that carries the country forward. Step beyond the tourist sites, and you'll find a lifestyle that's equal parts dynamic, disciplined, and deeply connected to community. Morning rush, the office worker's routine. The day for millions of South Koreans begins early. In Seoul, the subway system starts buzzing before 6 a.m., with commuters boarding sleek trains bound for office districts like Gangnam, Ulleungdo, and Jeongno. The trains are spotless, punctual, and so frequent that rush hour feels like a perfectly orchestrated dance, albeit one with a lot of smartphones and coffee cups. Many office workers, or salaried employees known as salaryman, grab a quick breakfast on the go, maybe a kimbap roll, or a warm pastry from a convenience store, paired with a paper cup of strong, sweet coffee from one of the countless vending machines or cafes. In fact, South Korea has one of the highest cafe densities in the world, so caffeine is never far away. The workday often runs from 9 a.m. to well past 6 p.m., especially in industries like finance, tech, or marketing. Overtime is common, though work-life balance is improving as younger generations push back against the always-at-your-desk culture. Compared to offices in London or New York, the hierarchy here can feel more formal, with deep respect shown to senior colleagues, a tradition rooted in Confucian values. The Student's Marathon Day. If you think your school days were tough, wait until you see a Korean student's schedule. Education here is serious business. A typical high schooler's day might start at 8 a.m. and end after midnight, not because they're in school the whole time, but because of hagwons, or private academies, which are a huge part of Korean education culture. After regular classes end in the afternoon, students head to these academies for extra lessons in subjects like English, math, or science. It's intense, competitive, and aimed at securing top scores in the Sunyoung, South Korea's national college entrance exam. This exam is so important that on test day, flights are grounded during the listening portion to ensure silence. University life is a mix of newfound freedom and lingering pressure. Many students join Clue everything from photography to hiking, or part-time jobs in cafes and shops. Yet academic achievement remains a strong focus, with the belief that hard work now will pave the way for a stable career. Evenings, the social side of city life. After work or study, South Korea's cities don't slow down, they shift into social mode. Groups of colleagues often head to Shuif bars for beer and fried chicken, or to Korean barbecue restaurants where grilling meat together becomes both dinner and bonding ritual. The practice of hwaesik, or company dinners, is a tradition that blends socializing with professional life, though younger workers are increasingly selective about attending. But it's not all about food. Many people head to noraebang karaoke rooms where friends sing their hearts out in private booths. The atmosphere is lighthearted and stress-relieving, a contrast to the formality of the day. Others unwind in PC Bang's internet cafes, playing competitive online games, or stroll through night markets for late-night snacks. Weekends, leisure with a purpose. For many Koreans, weekends are for recharging, but in ways that keep the mind and body active. One of the most popular pastimes? Hiking. Whether it's the peaks of Bukhansan near Seoul or the coastal trails of Jeju, hiking is almost a national hobby. Families, groups of friends, and retirees all hit the trails, often dressed in full professional gear, a point of pride among hikers here. Cafe culture is another huge part of weekend life. But these aren't just places to grab coffee, they're themed experiences. You might find yourself sipping a latte in a flower-filled greenhouse cafe, a minimalist concrete loft, or even one where raccoons or sheep roam around. Yes, those exist. Compared to cafes in London or New York, Korean cafes often double as photo-worthy destinations, blending design, food, and atmosphere. Shopping is also a weekend ritual. Massive malls like Kyosex in Seoul or underground shopping streets offer everything from luxury brands to quirky accessories. Street markets like Gwangjang Market mix history with culinary adventure, serving traditional dishes like mung bean pancakes and knife-cut noodles. Life beyond the cities. While much of what the world sees of Korea comes from Seoul or Busan, life in smaller towns and rural areas follows a different rhythm. Here, mornings might begin with a trip to the local market for fresh produce. Afternoons are spent tending rice fields or greenhouses, and evenings are quiet, marked by home-cooked meals and neighborly visits. The pace is slower, but the sense of community, the jeong, is stronger, balancing tradition and modernity in daily life. What's striking is how Koreans balance cutting-edge modern life with traditional values. It's not unusual for someone to use the latest Samsung smartphone to book a train ticket, then bow respectfully to greet an elder moments later. Festivals, ancestral rites, and family gatherings remain important, even in a world dominated by high-speed internet and global trends. And perhaps that's the magic of daily life here. No matter how fast the world moves, South Korea has a way of keeping one foot in the past while sprinting confidently toward the future. South Korea's economic journey is one of the most remarkable transformation stories of the modern era, a shift so dramatic it's often called the miracle on the Han River. In just over 6 decades, the country went from being one of the poorest nations in the world to one of the richest and most technologically advanced. Today, South Korea isn't just competing on the world stage in many industries, it's leading it. The titans of technology. If you own a smartphone, a TV, or even a refrigerator, chances are it has roots in South Korea. Samsung Electronics and LG are global household names not just in consumer electronics, but in innovation and design leadership. Samsung, for example, is the world's largest producer of memory chips and a dominant force in mobile technology. LG is a pioneer in home appliances and display technologies. Together, these companies employ hundreds of thousands and shape global trends. The impact isn't just corporate. Technology is woven into Korean life. From AI-driven customer service kiosks in cafes to high-speed internet in rural towns, this is a country where digital convenience is an everyday expectation. Compared to the USA or UK, where some rural areas still struggle with internet speeds, South Korea feels like the future. The automotive powerhouses. When you see a sleek Hyundai sedan or a sporty Kia SUV on roads in New York or Manchester, you're seeing part of Korea's industrial pride. These brands, once underestimated by Western consumers, now compete head-to-head with European and Japanese automakers for quality, safety, and design. Beyond exports, these companies employ tens of thousands domestically, support an entire supply chain of parts manufacturers, and are now investing heavily in electric vehicles and hydrogen-powered cars, positioning Korea as a green tech leader. The soft power of entertainment. The Korean wave, or Hallyu, isn't just cultural, it's economic. The global success of BTS, Blackpink, and Blockbuster, shows like Squid Game translates into billions in tourism, merchandising, and streaming revenue. In fact, a 2022 report estimated that BTS alone contributed over $3.5 billion annually to the Korean economy before their temporary hiatus. The entertainment sector also fuels secondary industries: fashion, cosmetics, tourism, and even language learning. Fans who visit South Korea for K-pop tours or filming locations are also staying in hotels, eating local food, and shopping, multiplying the impact. Income levels and opportunities. South Korea's GDP per capita now rivals some Western nations, standing at around 34,000 USD, 2024. Salaries for skilled professionals in technology, engineering, and finance are competitive with those in the UK and slightly below US averages, though cost of living is often more affordable outside central Seoul. For foreigners, job opportunities exist in English teaching, a huge demand through public school programs like EPIK, technology and engineering roles in multinational corporations, entertainment and creative industries, startups in fintech, gaming, and AI. However, work culture can be intense, with longer hours and greater emphasis on hierarchy than in the USA or UK. From poverty to power, the 1960s transformation. In the early 1960s, South Korea's GDP per capita was comparable to some of the least developed countries today. The devastation of the Korean War had left the economy in ruins. But through export-led industrialization, heavy investment in education, and a focus on technology, the nation surged forward. Shipbuilding, steel, and textiles paved the way for the high-tech industries of today. Government and corporate partnerships, often controversial but undeniably effective, created chaebols, family-run conglomerates like Samsung, Hyundai, and LG that drove rapid growth. By the 1990s, South Korea had joined the OECD, signaling its arrival as a developed economy. Today, it ranks among the top 10 exporters in the world. Urban living standards are high. Public transportation is clean, efficient, and affordable. Healthcare is world-class. And access to high-quality education is nearly universal. However, there are challenges, especially in Seoul, where housing prices have skyrocketed, making home ownership difficult for younger generations. Still, the average South Korean enjoys a level of safety, infrastructure, and digital connectivity that many Western cities aspire to. The global competitor. In just a few decades, South Korea has become an economic role model, showing how strategic planning, cultural resilience, and innovation can transform a nation. For travelers and expats, it's not just a place to visit, it's a place to learn from. When it comes to affordability, South Korea occupies an interesting public transport system. South Korea's transformation from a war-torn nation in the 1950s to one of the most advanced and prosperous societies on Earth has many roots. But perhaps the strongest lies in its unwavering investment in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. These three pillars have not only raised the quality of life for locals, but have also turned the country into a global model for development. Education, the backbone of progress. South Korea is often described as having one of the most rigorous and respected education systems in the world. Early foundations. Education starts early, with a strong emphasis on literacy and numeracy. Parents invest heavily in their children's learning, often enrolling them in Hagwon's private academies that operate after regular school hours. It's not uncommon for students to return home from these lessons well into the evening, a schedule that might seem intense to parents in the USA or UK. Global rankings. South Korean students consistently rank near the top in PISA tests for reading, math, and science. This commitment to academic excellence has helped fuel the nation's rise as a technology and innovation powerhouse. World-class universities. Seoul National University, CAIST, Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, and Post-Dec are globally recognized, often ranking alongside prestigious Western institutions like Oxford, Cambridge, and MIT. Increasingly, these universities attract international students thanks to competitive scholarships, English language programs, and South Korea's cultural appeal. Cultural perspective. In contrast to the more relaxed school environments often found in the UK or USA, South Korean education is marked by discipline, competition, and a cultural reverence for teachers. Academic achievement is not just personal, it's seen as a contribution to the family's honor. Healthcare accessible, affordable, and world-leading. South Korea's healthcare system is universal, efficient, and affordable, offering world-class medical care to all citizens and residents. National health insurance. Every resident contributes to the National Health Insurance Service, NHIS, which covers most medical costs from doctor visits to hospital stays. The patient's out-of-pocket costs are remarkably low compared to what Americans face, and there's no need to navigate the complex network of private insurance companies that dominate the U.S. system. Medical tourism hub. South Korea has become a global leader in medical tourism, attracting patients for everything from advanced cancer treatment to cutting-edge cosmetic surgery. Cities like Seoul and Busan host state-of-the-art hospitals, where foreign patients receive care with minimal wait times, often at a fraction of the cost in the USA or UK. Global reputation. The country's expertise in plastic surgery is so renowned that Seoul's Gangnam district has been dubbed the Beauty Belt. But beyond cosmetics, South Korea is equally respected for its excellence in cardiology, orthopedics, and robotic surgery, infrastructure efficiency and motion. If there's one area where visitors are consistently impressed, it's South Korea's infrastructure, an elegant blend of modern technology, efficient planning, and user-friendly design. Public transport. The Seoul Metropolitan Subway is clean, safe, punctual, and extensive, covering hundreds of kilometers and connecting seamlessly with buses. It's so reliable that commuters rarely need to check schedules. Trains simply arrive every few minutes. Compared to New York's subway or London's underground, Seoul's system feels newer, faster, and more affordable. High-speed rail. The KTX, Korea Train Express, connects major cities like Seoul, Busan, and Gwangju at speeds of up to 300 kilometers per hour, 186 miles per hour. A journey that once took half a day can now be done in just 2.5 hours, making weekend getaways easy for both locals and visitors. Urban planning and connectivity. South Korea's cities are designed with pedestrian-friendly streets, well-maintained cycling paths, and widespread Wi-Fi connectivity even in rural towns. This is a country where it's possible to stream HD video while traveling at 180 miles per hour on a bullet train through the countryside. Comparison to the USA and UK. In education, South Korea's academic rigor surpasses many Western systems. but it also comes with high pressure and long hours. In healthcare, South Korea offers faster, more affordable care than both the US and UK, with shorter wait times than the NHS and much lower costs than American hospitals. In infrastructure, South Korea's transport efficiency often leaves New York's and London's aging systems feeling outdated. Why it matters for travelers and expats. For anyone considering a long stay, South Korea's infrastructure makes daily life easy. Its healthcare system provides peace of mind, and its education system offers unmatched opportunities for families with children. These aren't just conveniences, they're part of what makes the country so appealing for relocation. If you're traveling here, you'll notice something remarkable. In South Korea, everything just works, and that's a luxury that can transform an ordinary trip into an unforgettable experience. If culture is the heart of a nation, then food is its soul, and in South Korea, that soul is rich, vibrant, and brimming with flavors that tell stories hundreds of years old. Every bite here is a conversation between the past and the present, tradition and innovation, simplicity and indulgence. The pillars of Korean cuisine. South Korean food isn't just about satisfying hunger. It's about community, balance, and seasonality. Meals are often shared with multiple side dishes, banchan, placed in the middle of the table for everyone to enjoy. This tradition reflects the Korean spirit of warmth, connection, and generosity. Kimchi, the icon of Korea. You cannot talk about Korean cuisine without mentioning kimchi, made primarily from napier cabbage, radishes, chili, garlic, and a mix of fermented seasonings. Kimchi is more than a dish, it's a cultural symbol. Families often prepare large batches together in a tradition called kimjang, storing it in clay jars to ferment over the winter. Today, kimchi comes in over 200 varieties, from mild white kimchi to spicy, red pepper-laden versions. Interestingly, in the USA and UK, kimchi has gone from a niche item in Asian supermarkets to a mainstream superfood praised for its probiotics and unique tang. Bibimbap, harmony in a bowl. Bibimbap literally means mixed rice, but the name barely scratches the surface of its beauty. Served with warm rice topped with sautéed vegetables, sliced beef, a fried egg, and gochujang, spicy chili paste, it's a visual masterpiece. The dish represents balance in colors, textures, and nutrients. Historically, it was a way to use up leftovers, but today it's a favorite for both locals and tourists, often served sizzling in hot stone bowls, dolsot bibimbap, that create a delicious crispy rice crust. Korean BBQ, a social feast. If bibimbap is a solo melody, Korean BBQ is a full orchestra. Guests gather around a table with a built-in grill, cooking marinated beef, bulgogi, pork belly, samgyeopsal, and other cuts right at the table. Every piece is wrapped in lettuce with garlic, chili, and sauce before eating. In Korea, BBQ isn't just a meal, it's an event, one that blends food, laughter, and conversation late into the night. Compared to Western BBQ traditions, Korean BBQ is more interactive. Diners do the cooking themselves, turning the meal into a shared experience rather than a chef-prepared plate. Street food, Korea's culinary playground. If you want to taste South Korea's food culture in its purest, most adventurous form, head to the street markets. Tteokbokki, spicy, chewy comfort. Bright red, spicy sweet, and utterly addictive. Tteokbokki is made from chewy rice cakes simmered in gochujang-based sauce. It's a comfort food Koreans have grown up with, and it's as common in Seoul's night markets as hot dogs are in New York. Hotteok, sweet winter warmth. Hotteok is a warm, golden pancake stuffed with brown sugar, cinnamon, and crushed nuts. Biting into one on a cold evening feels like wrapping yourself in a blanket. You'll find street vendors flipping them by the dozen, the sweet aroma drifting through the air. Kimbap, the Korean sushi roll. Kimbap looks like sushi at first glance, but its flavor profile is uniquely Korean. Rolled with rice, vegetables, egg, and sometimes meat, it's seasoned with sesame oil rather than vinegar. Kimbap is the go-to picnic food and a favorite for busy commuters. Markets and food hubs. markets in South Korea are more than places to shop. They're living museums of flavor. Gwangjang Market, Seoul. Famous for mung bean pancakes, bindaeteok, and handmade dumplings. Mandu. Noryangjin Fish Market, a seafood lover's paradise where you can buy fresh catch and have it cooked on site. Jeju Hanok Village, Jmao. The birthplace of bibimbap, offering authentic versions in a historic setting. These markets are social spaces where generations mingle, from elderly vendors selling recipes passed down through centuries to young food vloggers documenting the latest street food trends. Traditional tea houses. For a slower, more meditative food experience, step into a traditional tea house. Found in places like Insadong, these spaces are filled with the earthy aroma of roasted barley tea or the floral fragrance of chrysanthemum tea. Here, time slows, conversations deepen, and the art of hospitality takes center stage. Why it resonates with visitors. For Americans and Brits, South Korean food culture offers something refreshing. The communal aspect turns strangers into friends over a single meal. The balance of health and indulgence means you can enjoy rich flavors without feeling heavy. The story behind each dish adds a layer of meaning that goes beyond taste. In South Korea, every meal is a memory in the making. Whether you're savoring a perfectly grilled slice of bulgogi in a bustling restaurant or sipping tea in a quiet Hanok courtyard, you're tasting centuries of tradition and innovation in every bite. If South Korean culture were a tapestry, its festivals and celebrations would be the bright, vibrant threads that bring the entire picture to life. These events are not just dates on a calendar, they are living expressions of tradition, unity, and joy. They connect past generations to the present, locals to foreigners, and communities to the world. Seoul, Lunar New Year, a time for family and renewal. Every winter, around late January or early February, the entire country seems to slow down for Seoul. While Western New Year's Eve is often about fireworks and parties, Korea's Lunar New Year is about family, reflection, and respect. Rituals and traditions. Families gather for Chore, a memorial service honoring ancestors with beautifully arranged food offerings. This ceremony isn't just ritualistic, it's an act of gratitude to those who came before. Food and festivities. A bowl of tteokguk, rice cake soup, is essential eating. It symbolizes adding one more year to your age. Cultural games. During Seollal, people play yutnori, a traditional board game, and children receive sebaetdon New Year's money after performing a respectful bow to their elders. For visitors from the USA or UK, being welcomed into a Korean home during Seollal is a deeply touching experience. It's like being part of an extended family reunion where history and warmth blend seamlessly. Chuseok, the Korean Harvest Festival. If Seollal is about beginnings, Chuseok is about gratitude for the present. Held in September or October, Chuseok is Korea's version of Thanksgiving, but it carries centuries of agricultural heritage. Ancestral roots. Families return to their hometowns to pay respects at ancestral graves, cleaning the sites and offering food in a tradition called Seongmyo. Seasonal cuisine. Special foods like Songpyeon half-moon-shaped rice cakes filled with sesame or sweet bean paste are prepared. The scent of freshly steamed pine needles fills homes and markets. Folk entertainment. You might see Gyeongbokgung Sule, a UNESCO-recognized circle dance performed under the full harvest moon, or watch wrestling matches called serene, where skill outweighs brute strength. For Western travelers, Chuseok offers a rare chance to witness Korea's rural traditions in their most authentic form, a stark yet beautiful contrast to the bustling city life of Seoul or Busan. Boryong Mud Festival, fun in the dirt. If Seollal and Chuseok represent tradition, the Boryong Mud Festival is pure modern-day joy. Held every July in the coastal city of Boryong, this event started as a marketing campaign for mineral-rich cosmetics made from the region's mud. Today, it's an international phenomenon. What to expect? Giant mud pits, slides, obstacle courses, and even mud wrestling matches. Why it's special? The festival breaks down barriers, strangers become teammates, and no one cares if they're covered head to toe in gray sludge. Nightlife. When the sun sets, the beach comes alive with live music, fireworks, and DJs spinning under the stars. For tourists from the USA or UK, it's like attending Glastonbury or Coachella, but with a lot more mud and a surprising skincare bonus. K-pop concerts and fan culture events. It's impossible to talk about modern Korean celebrations without mentioning the global wave of K-pop. From BTS and Blackpink to Stray Kids and New Jeans, K-pop acts draw stadium-sized crowds, both domestically and internationally. Fan meetings and pop-up events. Fans line up for hours, sometimes days, to get a spot at fan signings or themed cafes that pop up around album releases. Concert culture. K-pop concerts are not just performances, they're multi-sensory experiences. Fans coordinate light sticks, officially called army bombs or blink hammers, depending on the group, creating synchronized light shows that turn the entire stadium into part of the performance. Global attraction. Many international visitors plan their trips around concert schedules, making music tourism a booming industry in South Korea. Other unique celebrations: Lotus Lantern Festival, a breathtaking celebration for Buddha's birthday, with thousands of colorful lanterns floating through the night sky. Andong Mask Dance Festival, a lively showcase of traditional mask dances, storytelling, and theater. Cherry Blossom Festivals. In spring, cities like Jinhae turn pink with blossoms, attracting photographers and romantics from around the world. Why these festivals matter. South Korean festivals are windows into the nation's soul. They show the respect for ancestry, the joy in seasonal changes, the embrace of global pop culture, and the ability to celebrate life in both solemn and playful ways. For Western audiences, these events reveal something deeper, that in South Korea, celebration is not just about the event itself, but about the connections it fosters between people, whether they've known each other for years or just met that day. If you've ever traveled somewhere and felt a little uneasy walking alone at night, South Korea will be a breath of fresh air. In fact, one of the first things visitors notice is just how safe it feels both in bustling cities and quiet rural towns. One of the safest countries in the world, South Korea consistently ranks among the world's safest nations. Crime rates, especially violent crime, are incredibly low compared to many Western countries. It's not uncommon to see people leave laptops or handbags unattended in cafes while they step outside something that might seem unthinkable in New York or London. Public transport confidence. The subway systems in Seoul and Busan are spotless, punctual, and equipped with CCTV cameras and emergency call buttons. Late-night buses run reliably, and even at 2 a.m., you'll see people walking alone without a hint of fear. Lost items find their way back. Forget your phone in a taxi? There's a good chance it will be returned. Honesty is deeply ingrained in the culture, the language of respect. Korea is a nation where manners are not optional. They're part of the social fabric. As a visitor, a few simple habits can go a long way. Bowing. A slight bow is the standard greeting and a sign of respect. The deeper the bow, the more respect it conveys. But as a foreigner, a polite nod combined with a smile will be warmly received. Two-handed gestures. When giving or receiving anything, a business card, a gift, or even change at a store, use both hands. This small gesture communicates sincerity and respect. Dining etiquette. Wait for the eldest at the table to start eating before you do. And remember, never stick your chopsticks upright in a bowl of rice. It's considered bad luck because it resembles a funeral ritual. Photography with sensitivity. South Korea is breathtakingly photogenic from neon-lit streets in Seoul to serene Hanok villages. But while your camera might be tempted to capture every moment, respect for privacy is essential. Ask before you click. It's polite to seek permission before photographing people, especially elders, children, or workers at their jobs. Sacred spaces and traditions. Some temples or cultural performances prohibit photography or only allow it without flash. Look for signs or ask a staff member before snapping. Blend in rather than standing out with oversized cameras in crowded places. Try to photograph discreetly, immersing yourself in the scene. Traveler tips for a smooth journey. Carry a T-Money card, works for buses, subways, and even some taxis. Top it up at convenience stores. Learn a few Korean phrases. Annyeonghaseyo, hello, and 감사합니다, thank you, can turn a simple transaction into a warm interaction. Mind the shoes. In many homes, guest houses, and even some restaurants, you'll need to remove your shoes. Public quietness. Keep your voice low on public transport. Loud conversations are frowned upon. Cash versus cards. Credit cards are widely accepted, but carrying small cash is useful for markets and rural areas. Why this matters? For visitors from the USA or UK, South Korea can feel almost utopian in terms of safety and civility. But this atmosphere exists because everyone contributes to it by respecting each other's space, traditions, and community values. As a traveler, embracing these customs isn't just polite, it's your ticket to truly blending in and experiencing Korea as locals do. While South Korea often dazzles the world with its K-pop beats, technological marvels, and stunning landscapes, there's another side to life here, one that's less talked about, but equally important to understand. Beneath the neon glow of Seoul's skyscrapers, many Koreans are quietly navigating challenges that test their resilience, the weight of work, and the price of success. South Korea's economic rise, often called the miracle on the Han River, was built on hard work, discipline, and a relentless drive for progress. But this achievement has also created a work culture that can be punishing: long hours. Despite government reforms, South Koreans still work some of the longest hours among OECD nations. In competitive industries like finance, tech, and entertainment, it's not unusual for employees to stay well past official working hours. Mental health struggles, high expectations, social pressure, and workplace hierarchies contribute to stress and burnout. Mental health has historically been a taboo topic, but awareness is slowly growing, with more young people seeking counseling and speaking out about well-being. Comparison to the West. For a visitor from the USA or UK, the dedication can be admirable, but also startling. Where Western workplaces may emphasize work-life balance, in Korea, rest is still often viewed as secondary to productivity. Housing. The Seoul price squeeze. If you dream of living in Seoul's trendy Gangnam district, be prepared for a reality check. Housing prices in South Korea's major cities have soared over the past decade, making home ownership increasingly out of reach for younger generations. Jeonse versus monthly rent. South Korea's unique Jeonse system, where tenants pay a large lump sum deposit instead of monthly rent, can require the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of US dollars up front. While monthly rental options exist, they often come with smaller spaces and high demand. Urban density. Seoul is one of the most densely populated cities in the world. High-rise apartments dominate the skyline, and even middle-class families may live in smaller spaces compared to Western standards. Impact on lifestyle. For many young Koreans, the housing crisis influenced decisions about marriage, family planning, and career moves. An aging nation. South Korea is facing one of the world's fastest aging populations, with a declining birth rate that's now the lowest globally. Fewer young people. Schools in rural areas are closing due to shrinking student numbers, and industries are beginning to feel the labor shortage. Economic strain. A smaller workforce means a heavier financial burden on the younger generation to support pensions and health care for the elderly. Changing family structures. Traditional multi-generational households are less common now, meaning many elderly citizens live alone, a growing social concern. Environmental pressures. While not always in the headlines, South Korea also grapples with environmental issues. Fine dust pollution, seasonal air pollution, partly from industrial activity and partly carried by winds from neighboring countries, can cause health advisories, especially in spring. Urban green space. Efforts are underway to increase parks and riverside areas in crowded cities, but balancing development with preservation remains a challenge. Climate change vulnerability. Coastal towns face risks from rising sea levels and typhoons, while agriculture is adapting to shifting weather patterns. Why this perspective matters. For travelers from the USA or UK, these challenges may be surprising, especially when contrasted with the glamorous image of South Korea portrayed in media. But understanding these realities is part of experiencing the country authentically. It deepens appreciation for the resilience and adaptability of the Korean people. Because every glittering skyline hides stories of perseverance, and in South Korea, those stories are everywhere. South Korea has captured the world's imagination through glossy K-dramas, electrifying K-pop performances, and viral TikTok food trends. But what you think you know about this country might not tell the whole story. Let's peel back the curtain and uncover what's myth, what's reality, and what might just surprise you. Everyone eats spicy food every day. If you've seen fiery red bowls of kimchi stew on Instagram or watched contestants cry over tteokbokki challenges, you might think South Koreans have an iron tongue for spice. Reality check. While spicy dishes are a big part of the cuisine, not every meal burns your taste buds. Korean food has an incredible range of flavors, from mild soybean stews to delicate seafood porridge. In fact, many locals prefer balance, using spice to enhance rather than dominate the dish. Comparison to the West. Think of it like British cuisine. Yes, fish and chips are famous. But no, that's not all they eat every day. Life in Korea is just like a K-drama. K-dramas paint a picture of perfectly styled protagonists sipping coffee in chic Gangnam cafes, dramatic love triangles unfolding against Seoul's night skyline. Reality check. Daily life here is far more ordinary and often busier. Most people juggle work, studies, and family, with very little time for those dramatic slow-motion rooftop confessions. Why the gap exists. K-dramas are entertainment, designed to showcase the country's beauty, values, and storytelling. They're windows into certain aspects of life, but not a full reflection of it. For visitors, if you come expecting every cafe to be a cinematic set, you'll still be delighted, but also discover Korea's more grounded, authentic charm. Surprising fact, Korea's coffee culture could rival Italy. Here's something you might not expect. South Korea drinks more coffee per capita than Italy. Coffee everywhere. From tiny artisan roasters hidden in side streets to massive chains with multi-story cafes, coffee is an inseparable part of modern Korean life. The experience. It's not just about the drink, it's about the atmosphere. Cafes often double as art spaces, themed interiors, or rooftop hangouts with panoramic views of the city. For Western travelers, if you're from the USA or UK, you might be shocked at how seriously coffee is taken here, not to mention the creativity of drinks, from sweet dalgona lattes to seasonal floral infusions. Other surprising truths. Bowing isn't always formal. Friends may give casual nods instead of deep bows. Public transport is ultra-punctual. A delay of more than a minute often surprises locals. Pet culture is growing fast. Urban Koreans are increasingly doting on small dogs and cats as part of family life. Why busting myths matters. Every destination has its stereotypes, but breaking them is what makes travel rewarding. By looking beyond the cliches, you'll see a richer, more complex South Korea one that's not just the sum of its global image, but a living, evolving culture. Because the real magic isn't in what you think you know. It's in what you discover when you're here. When you land in South Korea, the journey truly begins, not just in the places you visit, but in how easily and efficiently you can move, connect, and navigate this dynamic country. Let's make sure you're travel ready from the moment you step out of Incheon International Airport. Getting around, the power of the T-Money card. One of the first things you should buy is a T-Money card, a small rechargeable transport pass that works like magic across buses, subways, taxis, and even some convenience stores. Why it's a game changer? No fumbling for change, no paper tickets, just tap and go. It's perfect for both locals and visitors, and you can top it up at almost any convenience store or subway station. For Western travelers, think of it like London's Oyster card or New York's MetroCard, but far more integrated and easier to use across cities. The KTX, high-speed rail at its best. If you plan to explore beyond Seoul, the KTX high-speed train will be your best friend. Speed and comfort. Traveling at up to 300 kilometers per hour, you can reach Busan from Seoul in under 3 hours with comfortable seating, Wi-Fi, and even a cafe car. Cost versus convenience. Tickets are reasonable, especially when you consider the time saved. For longer stays, the Korea Rail Pass can give you unlimited rides for a set period. Connectivity, staying online anywhere. South Korea is famous for having one of the fastest and most affordable internet services in the world. Public Wi-Fi. Free Wi-Fi is common in cafes, subway stations, and public spaces. Portable Wi-Fi routers. For constant access, rent a pocket Wi-Fi device at the airport, ideal if you're traveling with friends and want to share a single connection. Mobile SIM cards. Prepaid SIMs are easy to get at Incheon Airport, major phone stores, or even vending machines. Plans often include unlimited data for a week or month, perfect for heavy users. Currency and money matters. South Korea uses the Korean won, and cash is still widely accepted, though cards are equally popular. Currency exchange. Airport rates are okay, but you'll often get better rates at banks or authorized exchange shops in the city, especially in Myeongdong or Hongdae. Cards and contactless payments. Visa, MasterCard, and even Apple Pay work in most urban areas, but it's good to carry a little cash for small markets, street food stalls, or rural towns. Pro traveler tips. Load your T-Money card. Once, keep a balance and avoid queues. Book KTX early. Weekends sell out fast. Keep ID handy. You may need your passport when buying SIMs or exchanging currency. Always have some coins. Vending machines for drinks or snacks are everywhere. With these tools in hand, South Korea becomes effortlessly accessible. You won't just visit. You'll glide through its cities, connect instantly, and handle your money with ease, leaving you free to focus on what really matters. Soaking in every moment of your adventure. For some travelers, South Korea isn't just a stop on the map. It's the start of a new chapter. If you've fallen in love with the blend of modern convenience, cultural depth, and endless energy, moving here might sound like a dream. But dreams need a plan. Let's break down exactly what it takes to make South Korea your new home. Visa types and digital nomad potential. South Korea offers several visa pathways depending on your purpose. E2 teaching visa, ideal for English teachers, especially those from the USA, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. D8 or D9 business visas for investors or entrepreneurs looking to set up operations. F-Series long-term residency visas, more permanent solutions for those with family or business ties. H1 working holiday visa, great for young travelers wanting short-term work experience. Digital nomad potential. While South Korea doesn't yet have a dedicated digital nomad visa, many remote workers come on tourist visas, 90 days for many nationalities, and use co-working spaces in cities like Seoul and Busan. The country's high-speed internet, vibrant cafe culture, and safety make it ideal for location-independent work. Best neighborhoods for expats, where you live can shape your entire experience. Seoul Itaewon and Hanam-dong, multicultural hubs with international restaurants, expat-friendly bars, and a diverse community. Perfect if you want a taste of home alongside Korean life. Seoul, Gangnam, chic, upscale, and buzzing with nightlife. Ideal for professionals who enjoy the finer things. Busan, Haeundae, and Gwangali. Beachfront living with laid-back vibes, great for those who want ocean views and coastal walks. Daegu and Daejeon, mid-sized cities offering a lower cost of living, strong community ties, and fewer crowds. Cultural adaptation tips. Living in South Korea means embracing its rhythms and respecting its norms. Learn basic Korean. Even simple phrases like 안녕하세요, hello, or 감사합니다, thank you, can open doors. Respect hierarchy. Age and position matter. Always show politeness to elders and superiors. Social invitations. If a coworker invites you to dinner or drinks, it's more than a meal, it's a relationship-building moment. Adjust to pace life. Here can be fast, especially in cities. Be ready for quick service, bustling streets, and long work hours. Blend in. Observe dress codes, especially in formal or business settings. Final thought for future expats. Moving to South Korea can be life-changing. It's a place where your morning could start in a quiet Buddhist temple, your afternoon could be spent in a high-tech co-working space, and your evening might end with karaoke under neon lights. But like any big move, success comes from preparation, openness, and a willingness to embrace both the joys and challenges. South Korea is a nation of contrasts, and yet everything here feels connected. It's where towering skyscrapers reflect the morning sun, while centuries-old palaces quietly watch over the city. Where ultra-fast bullet trains rush past rice fields that have been tended for generations. And where the rhythm of modern life somehow beats in harmony with traditions that go back 1,000 years. From the warm spirit of Jeong, that deep sense of human connection, to the unapologetic ambition that fuels its economy, South Korea is more than just a destination. It's a living story, constantly being written, and you have a chance to step right into it. Imagine strolling through the lantern-lit streets of Insadong on a spring evening, or standing on a cliff in Jeju as the waves crash below. Picture yourself savoring sizzling Korean BBQ with new friends, or finding calm in a Buddhist temple high in the mountains. These moments don't just happen in travel brochures, they could be yours. And perhaps that's the real wonder of South Korea. It's not just a place you visit, it's a place that stays with you. So if South Korea is now on your bucket list, or even if you've just started wondering, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Tell me in the comments what you'd want to experience first. Was it the food, the culture, the natural beauty, or the buzz of the cities? This is like a free ticket, just a like, subscribe, and a small comment helps bring the next video to you. And who knows? The next journey we take together might just be your future adventure.